It's a beautiful spring day. I don't see the osprey around. Maybe over there somewhere. I don't hear it either. There should be a pair of them, but maybe it'll show up here in a second. But nature is one of those things that really just automatically helps people calm down, to feel more at ease, and more of a, to really come back to more of a baseline, if we want to use that word, more of a natural state. And also being around not just nature, but also certain particular things in nature. Some people really gravitate with the mountains, and some with the water. Most people with both. I mean, you know, but it does seem that people have their favorite places, and maybe that's for different reasons, maybe from childhood memories or this or that or the other. You can't really say. The noises of the waves washing up on the shore, or a river flowing, and just the colors and all the different vibrant things of especially of a spring day like this, where you got a breeze and the waves or not really waves, but the ripples are splashing up here on the shore. And it has real a connection to our nervous system. It's not just some thing that's out there somewhere. It's actually in your body. You're having a pleasant response to these things, and that's part of the autonomic nervous system. And so the autonomic nervous system is the sympathetic, is broken down usually by what is typically referred to as the sympathetic nervous part of the nervous system. The autonomic nervous system has the sympathetic, the parasympathetic, and also a lot of times is now included the enteric. Enteric means within the gut or in the stomach. And it's very important why that's been broken out from the other two is because the gut and the digestive system contains the second highest number of nerve cells in the body. And there's a connection of a lot of nerves from the stomach and the digestive system going back to the central nervous system. And so if you remember, the central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord mostly. And then the peripheral nervous system is all the nerves that are branching out from the spinal cord and from the brain. And that's, you know, given us very specific information to any given body part. And so the enteric nervous system is in the stomach, and it's a very, very dense number of nerves within the stomach. So taking care of your digestive system, listening to your stomach and to your gut, making sure, like, if you're eating bad foods, or if you've been on maybe say a antibiotic regimen because you were sick, or those are things may be causing certain things to go on in your mind that you aren't necessarily making the connection to, and you need to, you know, sit back and think, oh, am I eating good foods? Is there things that I could do to, you know, to help my gut health, that sort of thing. But with the parasympathetic system, which is kind of what gets directly affected the minute you go out into, say, nature, and you go paddleboarding, or you go scuba diving, or this, that, or the other. You hear birds chirping. You've eaten a good meal, not necessarily just because of the nervous system that's in your guts, but just because now you feel like you've done that thing that's relaxing and digesting. So so like I say, you know, other things. I mean, just lots of things. But the parasympathetic nervous system is what we call, they sometimes refer to as the rest and digest. That's the peaceful, kind of calm, things are taken care of, I don't need to worry, part of our nervous system. And then there's the sympathetic nervous system, and that's usually referred to colloquially as the fight or flight. And so something gets you anxious or excited, and And sometimes all of those things need to be stimulated, and just being excited or being in fight response is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that we want to be able to manage that. So if you're just kicking off, anxiety is just getting kicked off for no explained reason, we don't want to, or whatever, adrenaline or fear, which can happen to human beings because our brains will start thinking about certain things. We want to be able to reflect back on certain things that get us back to putting the parasympathetic system in control. You know, the sympathetic nervous system should only be engaged when it's appropriate for it to be engaged. When it's getting engaged at inappropriate times, it can create a state of constant anxiety or worry or other things. And so knowing how to breathe, and when you're in nature, remembering and recalling what it feels like to be in nature will help you move out of that fight or flight response and back into a state of peace. The same thing with the enteric system. You know, if you're not putting good things into your body, or your digestive system's messed up, or this or that or the other, that can cause all sorts of issues, mood issues and other health issues that need to be taken care of by, taking care of your gut. And sometimes, all kinds of things. I mean, this could be a very complicated bit of biology and medicine, but we want to learn to control those things. Even though it's called the autonomic nervous system, it doesn't mean that we don't have an influence on it. It does kick off. I mean, our fight or flight response kicks off in a direct response to some threat or some this or that or the other, something that's that causes an increase in adrenaline and that kind of nervous energy. So we need to learn how to read our body. So doing things like playing sports is a healthy way to engage our sympathetic nervous system. When we play sports or play games, we'll get excited and adrenaline will start flowing, and we need to take note of that and say, how do we direct that and use that correctly? So adrenaline that's not used and directed in the right way will not be beneficial. We need to learn how to be aware, self-aware of that. And so playing sports and doing other things that get us excited, getting into cold water, for example, is one I mention a lot, will teach us how to be aware of our adrenal system, etc., and use it appropriate. And then also recalling nature and things like that will and put us back. But breathing is also a very, very important part of all this, because all these different states usually elicit some sort of breathing pattern. And if we learn how to use our breathing patterns rather than just randomly react, we can use that breathing and that conscious thought to interact with our autonomic nervous system and get us to the state that we want to be in. Sometimes we might want to hype ourselves up a little bit and get ready for something, and we want to engage the sympathetic nervous system. Other times, and most of the time, most of life, you want to kind of be pushing back and moving yourself back towards the parasympathetic, because it's usually being excited and anxious is not sustainable. That can cause, it's just not, our body is not designed to be in that state most of the time. That state is usually reserved for like hunting in the old days. That's, you need to get your adrenal system pumping when you had to hunt some big animal or run away from something, or you had some immediate threat, or there was a fire in your village. You needed to get excited. Your body will do those things to help in certain situations. But if you're sitting there in the middle of the night and you're anxious and you can't sleep, that's your parasympathetic system functioning probably at a time where you really need to be in the parasympathetic. And so breathing and thinking about nature and reminding yourself of these beautiful places and beautiful thoughts and visions will will help you consciously put yourself where you need to be. Certain music can help in all kinds of things, but you need to train yourself about these things and be self-aware. I love you.